guys, it's Brittany. So today is gonna be a back in time watches video, and today I'll be telling you guys the very first time that I've watched The Ghost in the Darkness. And as I have mentioned in my other videos, that I did grow up watching this movie, so I'm really trying to think how old I was at the time when I first watched it. I can't really say for sure, but my guess is that I was probably either 7 or 8, around there. And so now this wasn't my first Val Kilmer movie watching growing up, because I've watched his other movies growing up as well, quite young, like Top Secret, The Prince of Egypt, Real Genius, Tombstone, Thunderheart, and am I missing anything? And Batman Forever. And yeah, this was one of them. So yeah, I have grown up watching at least several of his movies. And so watching this was, something quite different. And so I would say getting into the movie, like I said, watching this quite young, like at least 7 or 8 at the time, it was like telling this whole different story. And of course you hear the narrator of at the beginning of the movie, which he plays the character of Samuel. So and of course we get to see him later, but he narrates the beginning part of the movie and towards the end. And so, as of watching this, I did not know that the story of the movie was based on those scary true events. And even when you hear him narrating that part, saying that even the most impossible parts of this story did happen, I was like, what? So yeah, I was just like, oh, okay. So of course, it's just quite new to me. And then of course seeing when he was interacting with this character at the beginning, where, okay, I don't know the actor's name who plays that character, where he's not a likable character, where he was telling Val Kilmer's character, since he plays the real live person on John Patterson, and saying something to him that was just so mean. Like, okay, I do not like that character. Nope. Because wait, I don't know if you heard that, but I think that was a TV next to me. And in case you heard that, I'm not sure, but yeah, that was not my TV. That was the TV next door to me. But everything's all good, it's still Halloween and everything, so that's fine. So yeah, and from what I've read is that that character, that mean guy character at the beginning, where what he says to John Patterson, yeah, that like I said, not mean character. But yeah, I even read that that character did not exist either. Now, I don't know how many characters were probably fictional within the story, but as far as I know, there are 2. So, That's the only thing I know. And so, of course, and then, just watching this movie, like I said, quite young, and and of course, I did not even know like what the story is about, and not knowing what was going to happen within the movie itself. But of course, seeing how these certain parts were unfolding, it was like, okay, this is intense. This is quite scary. And of course, it shows how he goes to Africa to build this bridge, but then it's like by the time he gets there, all of a sudden this thing seems to happen. All of a sudden this, I think you say this this whole thing, this whole situation about the lion attacks, was starting to happen, and I think it didn't happen before, like before he arrived, but by the time he got there, then all of a sudden it just was happening. But of course, and now there are some other characters, like there are those who were blaming him, thinking that because he arrived here, that somehow with him having arrived there, that it just caused this whole, messed up situation going on, which you can't blame on the person for a situation like that for happening, because things happen, whether if it's some weird coincidence, if someone's there or not. So you can't really blame someone for a situation happening because they're there. Like, that just doesn't make sense. And of course, he had nothing to do with it because he only arrives to build the bridge, and it just so happens that just started to happen, and it just became this very scary situation going on, and it just wouldn't stop. So and so yeah, and the thing is too, because and even with the character Angus, I would say he was also a likable character too. He was a good character, and yet we see him only throughout somewhat of the beginning, but then when that happened, because what happened was he did kill one lion with one shot, but now the thing is, was that really the lion that caused all of that? Maybe, maybe not, but there were other two ones that were causing a lot more terror of the situation. And so even though he took down one lion with one shot, and whether that was that lion that he killed or not, but and so it seems like, okay, after that things were fine, but then turns out something had happened where, yeah, it turns out someone, of course, was attacked and was found, I'm not gonna say, but was found, just died so horribly. And but then when they were going after them, like when John Patterson, Samuel, and Angus, when they were going after it, at some point there is one lion that jumps from the roof, but it turns out it wasn't just one, there are two of them. But it's sad how when the lion jumped from the roof, that the claws from the lion, from one of its paws, actually scratched like horribly into Angus's throat. Like, and that's how he died. And it was just horrible. And I think seeing that, I was, shocked, and I'm just like, that is so horrible. And so yeah, I felt bad that he died, because like I said, he was also a likable character, and we only get to see him throughout the beginning of the movie, but he died suddenly, and that's what happened. And but of course, as these things are going on, and each time that someone is getting attacked and killed very, very horribly, it was just getting worse. It was just getting more scary. And so, because of what was going on, it was just like, okay. And I remember at that time just feeling like, okay, I don't like what's going on. These are not good lions. They're scary. They're violent. And so I did not like that. I did not like those attack scenes and very graphic killing scenes, because it was just, like I said, just so horrible and sad. So yeah, and then of course later that guy from the beginning comes along, and then he says something to him which I did not like what he said, which I will not repeat what he said, because it was harsh. It was just cold of him for what he have said. And he even told him, saying that he thinks that somehow he can't handle the situation what's going on, and he says that it was a minor wildlife situation. The thing is, the situation itself wasn't minor. It was this major nightmarish, terror situation, and he just couldn't see that. He couldn't see that because he's not there. He's not there to really witness the terror itself of these people being attacked and being horribly killed. He's not there to see it, and yeah, he can call it minor. Like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I completely dislike his character, but that just shows that the actor who played that not so very mean character, it just shows he did a good job playing that character, because you just don't like him. So and and of course, as we get to see of more that's going on, we can see, okay, this is getting very scary. And so now of course, I'm not gonna make this for too long, because this is something I also know quite well, because I've seen it many times. But now I did like his idea though, where of what do you call it? It's he called it a contraption. So we get to see that scene where the lion walks inside, it gets trapped, and the door closes off. But those other men, they're on the other side, and there's a gate, kind of a metal gate, where it can't go near them. But then they're trying to shoot it, and the thing is, they couldn't even shoot at it, because it just kept warring. It kept trying to break down the metal bars, and it was just so intense and scary. And I think the thing is, they were so terrified that they couldn't find it. They couldn't, what's the best way to put it? They couldn't be able to have the strength to really kill it, because they were terrified. And ugh. And of course, since things weren't quite going so well, then yeah, then within at some point, I think within the next day or so, or the same day, but the morning. Yeah, I think it was the morning of the same day, and so, and of course, we see how John Patterson is just very frustrated because no matter what he's trying to do, that nothing seems to be working of to try to really to catch them and to kill them. And so, and then of course we see at some point of that scene where this other character is blaming him for him arriving because of how this is going on because he's there. But then within that part, that's when Michael Douglas shows up, of his fictional character, Charles Remington, and he's a very likable character. And of course, what happened afterwards, towards the ending, was just unexpected. But I'll get there a little bit later. But so, and honestly, when I really think about it, I think this was the very first movie, like the first movie I've seen with Michael Douglas in it when I was quite little. Yeah, yeah, it was. When I really think about it, it was. Cause then afterwards, the second one I've seen him in was The Game, but then of course afterwards, when I got a little bit older, then I was watching some other movies of his. So yeah, and of course as of now, I think I would say I've seen probably a little bit more of his movies. So just a little fun fact there. And and so, yeah, so the thing is that while seeing this unfolding, of the story and the characters and this scary situation that's going on is just intense. And so seeing this unfold, but I really liked how those two um, like just really worked together, and I just loved their performance, which I still do, because even when I still watch it, I still find it a really good um, movie to watch, and their performances are just really great to watch because they're really great actors. And so seeing how it seems like they're like getting along. So it seems like their characters are becoming friends within a movie. And so, just imagine I'm like 7 or 8, so watching this, like there are some parts where I'm like feeling tense and scared because of those attack scenes, killing scenes, and I'm like, oh gosh, like this is horrible, like I don't like this, I don't like this. Like those parts. But then other parts where it wasn't bad if it was not anything like that. So overall, I would say after watching the movie, like, I did like it. I just didn't like those scary parts of that, and but overall, I still liked it. But yeah, I would say the one thing that I was quite confused, which I wasn't quite sure, because at some point, uh, Michael Douglas, Charles Remington, his character gets killed off, you know, and so, towards the ending, because, and here's the thing I did not quite know, I was confused on, because it shows how when John Patterson's having his nightmare, um, I've read that when he's having a nightmare, that's when his character gets killed off, like right at the same time. So that I did not know, cause at some point when he wakes up and then he tries to look for him, he's not there. And so I remember, seeing that, I was like, wait, what happened? And just thinking like, oh no. And yeah, so I remember thinking like, oh no, don't tell me, like, I have a bad feeling. And so I wasn't sure when that happened, if it was maybe within a second that happened or within a minute of the nightmare. I wasn't sure, but as it turns out, it was exactly the same time. So it's kind of like what was going on in his nightmare was actually going on in real time, of what was happening to Charles, so that was just that. Yeah, I remember when I first read that, I had chills because I did not even knew anything about that. So yeah, and of course, so when he does go looking for him, but then when he does find him, it's too late and he's, you know, dead. And like the aftermath was just horrible. Now we don't really see the graphic details of his character's remains, which I'm glad they didn't show that because it would have been too much. It would have been too graphic to see. So I was like, I'm glad they didn't show it, but seeing only what they shown a little bit of within that part, I remember I was actually quite sad but shocked. Like, it's one of those moments where you're kind of like have this shocked look, but it's more like a shock sad look, and it's something where you're like, I don't know how to describe this. It's more like a shock sad look where you're like, kind of like you have no words for it, kind of like when something happens and then you find yourself feeling like you have nothing to say. So that's pretty much it. It was like that, how I felt. And so, and of course, I'm glad that I had a good ending. But I would say, while watching it the first time at that age, like 7 or 8, it was an intense, scary experience. Quite young, but also it was also quite sad within that part. But then it also had a good ending, so it's like that. I'm glad that had at least a good ending. So yeah, I remember after watching it, I was like, okay, this is a good movie. But I also thought it's quite intense, quite scary, and like, and I remember thinking, okay, I do not like how his character got killed off, because that was sad. And even now, I still think that it was a scene that was unexpected, and it's not something, like, it's one of those unexpected scenes, almost like it was so sneaky where they just kill off the character like that. So yeah. Oh, and I did have a dream about it though, where his character doesn't kill it off, but instead he survives and he's found alive but unconscious. So if you want to check out that dream, I will put the dream playlist here, or I could leave the link in the description. But yeah, but like I said, overall, even after watching it, it did scare me, but I thought, I still like it. It's a good movie, so even after that, I still watched it. I still watched it even when I was like around like 9, 10, and up, and even now, of course. But yeah, this, I would say this isn't a movie I recommend for young children to watch, but because I did grow up watching it, like I think with me, I think I handle it okay. I think I handle it quite well. Um, but yeah, I still thought it was a good movie, and of course, I really didn't like the lines for what they were doing, but I liked, the characters, and of course, I just loved um, the cast of the movie and their performances and the music and everything else, like all the hard work that went into this movie. Like, it was just great, and I still think it's a really good movie to watch. And even the music's really great. So, yeah. So, oh gosh, what else? Oh, and here's another thing that's surprising too, because in every scene, because in all the scenes you see that there are real lions, but I've read there's one scene that they used the animatronic lion. And which scene is that of the animatronic lion? That I don't know, because when I looked up on it, it didn't even say. It didn't say which part they used the animatronic for. So I don't even know on that. But anyway, sorry if this is going on for a bit long, but oh, yeah, I think that's what I forgot to mention. I would say at the time, my thoughts on it were, this is a good movie. It's intense, it's scary, but I also thought, like, okay, these lions are scary, so it's nothing like The Lion King at all. This is very different. And of course, my thoughts on it were that I love the cast, and I love Val Kilmer's and Michael Douglas's performance, and I love their characters too. And yeah, I just really, liked it. And I think how it made me felt was, of course, it made me felt scared. It made me feel like scared within those parts, and it made me feel like, oh, this is terrifying, like, oh. So yeah, I think even those parts even made me feel uneasy because of what was going on, and because of the fact that it really happened. And I think the impression it left on me was that sometimes there are some things you don't know that could really happen. And I think, yeah, that, and the impression it left on me was that, one, even the most scary and terrifying things, and even if it seems impossible, those things can really happen, whether if you think it's too impossible or not. Because, excuse me, because even the most impossible things can happen, whether if it's something bad or something good. It just depends on what it is. And the other thing of, I think, the impression it left on me was, well, yeah, I think pretty much that. And just like, well, you gotta be careful, and always, like, no matter what, always be aware of your surroundings. And but yeah, like I said, overall, even after that, I still thought it was a good movie. And I remember thinking, like, okay, I'm gonna watch it again. And like I said, even afterwards, even by the time I grew older, that I still continued to watch it, even, yeah, even through my teens and all the way up till now. And that doesn't mean that I still don't feel uneasy or scared within those parts, because I do. But I still like to watch it because it's still a good movie and the performances are really great. So Yeah, and yeah, so just wanted to share that, on the first time that I've watched the movie. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for today. And oh damn, 30 minutes. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and leave a comment down below on when you watched this movie, or if you haven't watched it. And if you haven't really heard about it, I highly recommend it. It is a good movie, so if you haven't seen the movie before, please go check it out. It's worth a watch. It is. So yeah. So hope you enjoyed this. So let me know what you think, and when was the first time you watched it, or if you haven't seen it, then please do. So that's all for today. Again, happy Halloween. Hope you guys are having a great one. So that's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.